Hi, I'm Miguel Delaney, Chief Football Writer at The Independent. If the World Cup got real with the last 16, it's getting properly serious now. We ask you for your questions as we hit the quarter-final stage of Qatar 2022. Let's take a look at what you've asked. Hugo's straight in there asking how Portugal dropped Cristiano Ronaldo and all of a sudden are playing their best football in the tournament. Must be a coincidence. I can't actually quite tell from that whether Hugo is a fan of Ronaldo or he's having maybe a wry remark. But I don't think it is a coincidence at all. I mean, look, Ronaldo is obviously one of the greatest players of all time. He's just not that player anymore. That's been apparent with increasing evidence over the past 2 years, to the point, of course, Manchester United eventually dropped him. And now Fernando Santos has been left with the same decision. Now, some of that wasn't just influenced by tactics. It was influenced by some of Ronaldo's behaviour, like his petulance and being taken off. But it's also revealed the truth that Portugal are a better team without Ronaldo because they've got more mobility. They've got so much attacking talent beyond Ronaldo, so many good young players. But when Ronaldo's there, it's not really allowed to be released because everything has to be focused towards him. When he's not on the pitch, there's much more variety to what they can do. So Sean asks, Tottenham Richarlison, meh. Brazilian Richarlison, the greatest player of all time. He's been one of the players of the tournament, undoubtedly, and not just one of the players of the tournament, but someone who's kind of almost more than any other player personified this Brazilian return to some of the expressive football we most associate with great Brazil teams, particularly up to 1982. Since then, they've been more tactical. And I think that's actually an irony to this question because for Tottenham, Richarlison's played a really tactical role. He's been good in moments, but Conte obviously gives him very strict parameters that he has to follow. And also there's that simple thing as well. Sometimes the moment in time a World Cup happens, a player just seizes the opportunity and goes to another level. After the Senegal game, Rob asks, how good is Jude Bellingham? One of the players of the tournament, certainly. And we're probably talking about one of the best midfielders in the world for the next decade. It was interesting. We actually had a sit-down with England's assistant manager, Steve Holland, on Monday. And he went into detail about how he sees Bellingham train, what's made him so good. I mean, first of all, he says Bellingham has every single attribute to make the top level. He's got the technical ability, which is, I suppose, the base of any footballer. He's developing physically because he is still a teenager. But he's also got that mentality that Holland says really raises the top players. It really puts them on a different level. And so as to the question of how good Jude Bellingham is, I'd say one of the best midfielders in this tournament and one of the best in the world. And we'll probably see him in England next year, maybe Real Madrid, to truly fulfill that. Felix says that France is very beatable with their suspect midfield. However, can their attackers be stopped? Well, I think that's kind of an interlinked question because with the injuries to Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante, the manager Didier Deschamps said to try a completely new midfield. And it's quite interesting what he's gone with, given it's been Rabiot, a player previously criticised, but who's played a brilliant role for France. Tchouameni, who's been one of the best young midfielders in the world, similar to Bellingham in that sense. And in front of them, though, he's tried something pretty novel, which is putting one of the forwards, one of the attackers, Griezmann, in this kind of creative midfield role where he has absolutely thrived. I think in a way no one really expected. And in a manner that actually England wanted from, say, Wayne Rooney in the latter part of his career, but never quite saw. At the moment, I'm of a mind that England have a better midfield three than France. I think it's a bit more cohesive. I suppose the actual reality that we won't see until Saturday night. But there's another side to that as well, which is whether Southgate actually goes with that three, because there is a possibility he might return to a 3-4-3, which involves two in the centre, because of the need to stop Kylian Mbappe, exactly as you point to in your question. And so it's one of those games where Southgate's formation is going to be very instructive. But certainly I do agree, actually, France are, I would say, one of the top two teams in terms of Brazil, maybe England just slightly below them. But they have flaws and they're beatable, and England can beat them, even despite just saying they're slightly below France. I mean, that's very marginal. And of course, teams grow as the tournament goes on, especially when you get big wins. Mohamed thinks Messi versus Van Dijk will be a battle, while Van Gaal will pull a tactical masterclass, but wonders whether Frankie de Jong versus McAllister and Enzo will be the decider. Who will dominate? You're absolutely right. It's one of the most tactical games of the tournament. It's also a game between two teams that really prize the ball. I think the Dutch under Van Gaal, as you kind of hinted, Mohamed, are a bit more dogmatic about it, and are more it's all more prescribed, which is the way Van Gaal likes. Argentina seek to build possession, but it's a bit looser up front. And now that has actually inevitably seen them play the ball in towards Leo Messi even more. And I think this is a very interesting. I think this is a real 50-50 game. And I think it's going to come down to Dutch collectivism, which I think is superior to Argentina. But then whether Argentina have the individuals to decide it. Because, again, I think as you referenced with your Jude, most of Holland's talent is backloaded. So the best players are in defence. Whereas with Argentina, there's obviously Messi. and also Alvarez as well, who's been superb as this tournament has gone on. And I think it'll be that duel that'll kind of break this clash over possession. I've got actually a feeling for Argentina here, I have to say. And I think it's almost kind of their dogged momentum that'll pull them through. And Dia says, I love Spain, but how good is the Marrakesh Express? So happy to have an African team in the quarterfinals. Well, yeah, I was at the game yesterday. I suppose, as you can guess from the name, I'm half Spanish. So personally, I was a little bit disappointed. But equally, I think from before the match, I was pessimistic about it for Spain. As it went on, I was thinking they weren't going to break down Morocco. Morocco are a proper team. They're well put together. They've got some really good players, especially at the back. I thought Saiss was excellent yesterday. And they're going to give anyone a really difficult game. I don't think Portugal are going to get the freedom going forward that they got against Switzerland. That's one that could go right to the wire. And again, as you say as well, I think it's a necessary diversity for the tournament, because had Spain won, we would have been in a situation where, and this is the most common breakdown for the quarterfinals of the World Cup, where it's 6 European teams and 2 South America, with the 2 South American usually being Argentina and Brazil. Morocco stopped that. It's now 5 European, 2 South American, and 1 African. And I think that's badly needed, because for all of the discussions around this World Cup, and for all that even Infantino's initial speech was rightly criticised, there was one point in it, which is that more of the wealth of the game needs to be spread beyond Western Europe. And that only happens when you see teams like Morocco proceed like this, succeed like this. That's what starts to get that spread. And of course, Morocco are themselves building on previous World Cup appearances, like 1998, when they had a brilliant team, but narrowly lost out to Brazil and Norway going through. They absolutely hammered Scotland, I remember. This is all built on that, and it's a very good thing for the tournament. And I have to say as well, this was probably the best atmosphere experience tournament. Argentina's up there, of course, but this was a different type of atmosphere from a different football culture, and it was really nice to see. So thank you for all your questions. Keep up to date with all the news from Qatar 2022 with Independent Sport, and watch more on Independent TV. We'll see you again on You Ask the Questions.